introduce everyone. Hello, thank you for tuning in today, and welcome to 27 Degrees SAG. We are broadcasting from the Galactic Center. My name is Duncan, I'm the producer of the show, and I would like to invite Kimla. Hi, Kimla.
Hi, Duncan. Thanks so much for getting us on, all of us, and thank you so much for coming along with us for the next hour. You are tuned into 27 Degrees SAG, and that in your astrological chart denotes the exact point of the Galactic Center. So here we go. The Galactic Center broadcasts out all this wonderful energy, information, light from the direct source itself. So here we are, whether you are listening live, or perhaps you've just stumbled upon us for the first time, or you're listening to an archive. I want to say thank you so much, because of the fact that no matter when you tune in, your energy becomes a part of the show. So thank you so much for coming along with us. And we have an amazing show for you tonight. We are under a Cancer moon. You know, I'm a certified astrologer in Western and Chinese astrology. My degree is in metaphysical counseling. I'm a psychic medium and a feng shui consultant. If you have never heard of me before, go ahead and go on my website, kimlalowe.com. That's Lowe. And we do have a new affiliate page as well. And we have some new products we're going to be talking about throughout the show. I have a wonderful, dear spiritual friend of mine, Aage Nost, and his wonderful co-host, Nori, Lowe. They're here this evening, and they make up a fabulous show themselves, Broadcast Team Alpha, and they have wonderful guests, and it is on YouTube on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure that you catch their show as well. Let me tell you a little bit about Aage. I've known him for years, and we have done radio together and also our own shows on stations, and we have supported each other. And it is just a pleasure, always a pleasure to have Aage with us. And Aage, he was born in Norway, amazing pilot. Aage, do you hold the world's record for solo flights or something? Or solo hours? No.
I don't have any world records, no.
Oh, not yet?
He's pretty close, I bet.
I think, okay. How many hours do you have for solo flights?
I don't know. You know, I logged well over 10,000 hours of flight time, but that's, you know, on all areas, you know, both teaching and line flight and check flights and things. So
yeah,
multi-engine teaching.
Right. And then he got into broadcasting, and then he developed this huge appetite for metaphysical, esoteric, this UFO energy, and to really kind of find the truth and to really uncover a lot of secrets. So he became an amazing researcher, and he brings to the table so much value as to inventions and consciousness and dimensions, everything we're going to be talking about this evening. And Miss Nori, she, you know, her last name is Love, so you get the vibe, right? She's fabulous. She's got a background in nursing, and her passion is healing. And she is a master and a teacher of Reiki. She has a passion for healing art, and she has her own Radiant Center for well-being. And so she has her own show as well. So everybody's so busy bringing these wonderful messages and service to humanity. I want to thank you both to the show, and it's a pleasure to have you on. Hi, everybody.
Thanks, Kimla. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Duncan. Yeah.
Okay. You know, I was thinking, Since Nori has this passion for healing, and Aage has this passion for higher consciousness thinking and how to obtain that, I was wondering, oh, and I forgot one thing about Nori. She's also a hypnotherapist. Is that correct, Nori?
It is, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's a hypnotherapist. So I was going to ask Aage. Aage, have you ever been hypnotized?
Yeah.
All right.
In fact, by Nori once.
Oh, all right. All right.
Should we even talk about that, Nori?
It's your hypnosis.
She hypnotized me live on a show one time. I think it's about a year and a half ago now. And if you want to know what hypnosis works like, go to broadcastteamalpha.com and scroll down at least probably a year and a half or so, and you'll find it. And you can watch it, and there were some surprising things on my part that came out there. So anyway, you will see how it works. And I tell you, that was a time regression that she mostly did. She took me back, and she took me back even before I was born this time around.
Wow.
And I had in fact, we had some commonalities, which is very common for people that really were close. Here, they also had commonalities before they were born, and we found some of those.
Well, there's a huge trust bond there to do that on live radio.
Yeah,
I mean, that's amazing. And that's a wonderful a testament to you, Nori. So that's a nice, safety feature as well. I have also gone through the QHHT technique of hypnosis myself, and the healing that takes place when you are under a hypnosis is phenomenal. I was wondering if Nori could give us a little bit of experience, maybe of what she has encountered.
Yes, I've encountered things that I actually didn't expect going into the session. People had come to me for things that seem pretty straightforward. Like healing that part of the person because their ex-husband kept showing up, in their mind and in their dreams. And instead of working on that, somehow it was a stimulus for them to go into hypnotherapy. And this one person in particular ended up going Galactic.
Wow.
And into a healing chamber. It wasn't a med bed, like what we're learning about now,
Mm-hmm.
but a healing chamber with a star family that she suspected she was aligned with, and she got a healing and she got an activation, and it was one of the most magical experiences I've ever had.
Wow.
After that, she kind of set the bar really high, and then after that, people came for things like, I want to go and find out who my star family is. And it's so interesting because I was thumbing through some of the conferences that are happening now, and there were several people who had come, had a hypnotherapy session, gone Galactic, met their star family, had an activation, and then after the activation, they were like full out, doing what they came here to do. And I'm seeing them in the speaker circuit, on all of these conferences coming up.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
So tell us what goes on when they have an activation.
Well, the activation is individual for each person. It's not something that's, it's like, okay, pull the activation file and, put it. It's not like that. I had no idea. I don't know if I even ever thought that somebody would receive an activation, when I was with them. But it was personal to them, and it was like for one person, it was like a ceremony, and her star family were around her, and they delivered her. She had a uniform on, if you will, and delivered her a sash and some kind of a, you know how the Olympics get the big medals.
Yeah.
She got something that actually got placed into her solar plexus.
Wow. Okay.
I know, right?
Wow. Yeah.
It was amazing.
Wow. And that's what I was going to talk about a little bit, about the wellness and the healing, and how different people's belief patterns get in the way sometimes about what the body is able to do, and what the mind is able to do, and what your spiritual development and how it all comes together. And I must say that Aage wrote this book, and it's called Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access Universal Consciousness. And the big takeaway from this book, and I've read it 3 times because there were a couple of things in there that, I really wanted to go back and, crack the book open again and check it out. And Aage, how can they get this book?
No, first of all, if you read it 3 times, we need to talk, because you may be ready for stage 2. And,
there you go.
You can just go to Amazon. That's probably the quickest way to get it. Or also, there's another website actually where it's Aage-Nost.com, but that's just for the book. So you could find it under books there. But I want to revert back just a little bit on hypnosis, because there's a lot of people out there that has things that holds them back.
Right.
I mean, it could be a simple thing like fear of height, fear of water. And with hypnosis, you can go back, find out the cause. And the cause may not necessarily be in this lifetime. It could be that you drowned last time around. And hypnosis can take you back to that time and remove the problem, because you will be able to understand it, and also understand that it doesn't really affect you here, and you don't have anything to be afraid of. And also, Nori does something that I never thought of before, and that is that she takes people forward in time to a predetermined place and time in the future where they can meet themselves and have a conversation. And I don't know, but we haven't really talked that much about that, but maybe have a way to give yourself an advice in the future. I'm not so sure how that would work, but maybe she can talk about that, because that is totally, I haven't heard anybody do this, but I know she talked enough about it to me to know that she's had some great experiences doing that. Am I off the mark, Nori?
No. You're pretty on track. It's just, it's not even a matter of, this is our linear mind thinking about the way that it should go. I'm going to meet my future self. I'm going to get advice, and it's not, it's not really that way, because the subconscious mind is so symbolic in the way that they speak to people, and oftentimes you can just go meet your future self, experience that energy, right? Experience that that beingness, and then if you align with that energy, you come back with the qualities of your future self. So if you went in as a smoker and your future self is not a smoker, well, then the desire for smoking goes away. If you have had a history of sabotaging yourself, and always meeting with roadblocks, and then you have that beautiful experience with your future self, you come back and suddenly the roadblocks don't show up anymore. So it's, I mean, ultimately it's as unique and creative as every person is. Yeah. I mean, the answers, and the future self may show up as a deer, in a wooded setting, and they don't necessarily recognize that it's their future self at that moment, but then they look in the eyes of the deer and they make that connection, and they're like, oh my God, it is my future self, and maybe that's because they're the chattery mind, the analytical mind couldn't formulate what a future self would look like. So they brought themselves a beautiful animal, that's soft and loving and representative of who they are, but also representative of one that they could take, the information from, receive the gift from. Does that make sense?
It
Yeah.
certainly does. And I wanted to bring up this point about soul consciousness and about how through different reincarnations and different timelines that your soul consciousness stays, or it travels with you through these types of different journeys, whether you are on planet Earth or in another with your star family, or you are experiencing the animal kingdom, or whatever that is. The soul consciousness also, in feng shui, we have this formula about qi. You can bring the qi in and just work with a small qi, or you can expand it out where the qi covers everything in the energy, and you can work on it that way. I've heard that that's exactly what the soul does as well. The soul can expand and experience different things at different times, and then it can contract and go into a body or experience or have a different experience as well. Also, I wanted to ask you about, dealing with hypnosis and about people and contacting the essence of their soul. Do you find a lot of times that the soul itself can be damaged?
I have not found people with damaged souls, and that may be because of the way that I set up, my work and my sessions, and with Reiki. Reiki believes that you're whole, perfect, and complete, and that's how I go into every session. So I haven't met people with damaged souls. I've met people who have had to call back fragments of their soul, that got scattered, during trauma or pain. Yeah, but not a damaged soul.
Okay. Yeah, soul retrieval is something that if you do experience some type of trauma or, some type of really, amazing stress or something, that the soul literally, to handle that pressure, splinters off.
Yeah.
And I've actually worked with shamans, Robin Alexis, who's a fantastic shaman, and her one of her expertise is bringing the soul back together in soul retrieval. Yeah. So so I've seen that as well. And when we're talking about consciousness, and Aage, this might be something that you can chime in with, as far as the different level of higher consciousness versus whatever else is going on. How do you know what level of consciousness you're on? Everybody seems to be wanting to reach higher consciousness. How do I know what level my consciousness is on?
Well, that's an interesting one, boy.
Yeah.
Because both quantum mechanics and ourselves, we understand that we have many different levels of consciousness, and different dimensions that fit in, or the consciousness fit in with those dimensions. The first, second, and the third dimension is very simple. Length, width, and height, and that's how the nuts and bolt brain figures it out. Now we got a box. Nothing happens in that box. Everything is stationary until you add the fourth dimension to it, which is time. Now, if you put a cat in a box, now the cat can move around. You know how cats like boxes. And now we are all talking about, we want to advance into the fifth dimension, which is higher in vibration and in actually a different level of consciousness. where we plain and simple are able to do more things, have more abilities, have more knowledge than we do here in the fourth dimension. There is libraries out there. We have libraries too. We call them libraries. Libraries out there, some call them the Akashic records. And we have access to some. Every level of existence has its own level of, has its own library or Akashic recording. So we can, let's say we go into the fifth dimension, we want to advance beyond the lower levels of it as fast as much as we can, because the lower level, it's not necessarily all that hot place to be. That's where ghosts are trapped and there's a lot of goofy stuff going on there. So think yourself beyond that, up into the higher levels where it is more blissful and more peace and higher conscious beings to associate with. And I want to say something about what we call death, because that's usually the gate into higher consciousness for nuts and bolts people, you know, and if there is such a thing. But sooner or later, we're all going to, there's rumor on the street anyway, all of us is going to do that. And when that happens, we never die alone. There's usually about 100%, there's someone there to join you and say, hey, you're done your education here, let's go home.
Right.
Follow that person. But if you're too attached to the physical reality, let's say you're totally in love with your family, you want to make sure that they're okay, you just hang around. The people that came to get you, it could be your mom if she's passed on, it could be anybody. They get tired of waiting, and so they basically tell you, well, just call me when you're done. They go. Now you're on your own. And you are in that lower level of the fifth dimension, where you hang around and you see what's going on in the physical. But there is always a way to think yourself out of it. There are many souls or consciousness they are sitting there in the lower fifth dimension, observing and maybe enjoying or totally not liking it at all. Either way, you really should try to leave, go through that tunnel or the light or whatever you find to lead you to that other side. If you don't see anything like that, think of the one that came to get you the first time. It's kind of like a telephone. They'll get the message and they'll come back when they know you are ready, and then you can go. Because once you go, you can always come back and visit again. So
there are a lot of people who do, a lot of souls out there that don't want to leave, or it was just a tragic situation for the transition. And you're right. And a lot of families are holding them in their energy circle and don't want to let them go up. So there's a lot, that's a huge amount of work that people do to really hard cords and let them send and let them go back home and go into the light. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And the lower levels of the fifth dimension is quite crowded by consciousness or souls that just hang around. And it doesn't need to be that way. They don't understand, especially people that has no conscience about spirituality, like atheists. They don't know. Once they step out of the body, they didn't think there was anything, and now they're, wow, gee, I was wrong, but now what do I do? So there they are, they don't know what to do, especially if they die in a quick accident or something like that, when there is nobody there to get them.
Yeah, exactly. Which brings me to another subject about about entities that like to come in unseen energy and rock in your rocking chairs and, turn on lights and turn on your stove and turn on the water and, kind of freak you out a little bit. Has that ever happened to you? Duncan, has that ever happened to you?
I've had some paranormal experiences before. For example, I was over at my friend's house. He lived right across the street from a funeral home, and they would actually do cremations there, and it was literally right across the street. So we were very much into paranormal investigations and stuff like that, and watching different TV shows about that kind of stuff. And we went over there one day, and they had these vans where I'm not sure if it's like a hearse. I think it is. Even though it's a van, it's still a hearse, I guess. But it was a white van, and I saw in the reflection a girl standing there with a white dress on, and I saw that through the reflection of the van, and I'm like, wow, because it was she appeared like in this overhang, and I knew nothing was there, and when I looked at the van, there she was underneath the overhang, and I'm like, okay. That was one of my first paranormal experiences, but yeah, there's strange stuff that happens all the time. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced that.
So Aage, you were going to tell us about Nikola Tesla's invention in 1901.
Oh, yeah, that's
what I was getting to.
okay, all right. Well,
Right.
it's, we know. We don't even have to think. We know there's something after we drop the body. We have the pictures, we have the videos, we have the voice recordings, we have it all. There are thousands and thousands of people that have this kind of evidence. How do we communicate with them? Or if we like to, we can. In 1901, Nikola Tesla created a little radio device that he was experimenting with. At one time, he said in an interview that, and I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't have a total recall of what he said, but he said that I was alone in my laboratory and I was listening to two people talking in a language that I did not understand, and it totally terrified me. That was when he was listening to this radio device that he created that had no electricity going into it to actually work it, but he could hear it because he had the antenna, and all you have to do, go to YouTube and punch into the search pane Tesla Spirit Radio. There is a lot of people that have built this thing. There is all simple. There's about 14 different parts to it, including 2 antennas that is put this close. They are spread out, and there's a short circuitry and put in a jar. And what you can do, you can feed it through the computer and then take out the static, and you can hear spirits talking to you. It works about 100% of the time if you put this thing together. And I priced it out one time, probably about, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago. And I think I cheaped it out actually and got it right about $20 to put all this together. And if you know a little bit about electronics, maybe like Duncan does, you can make one of these things. And they're simple to put together. I haven't done it because I don't know anything about electronics, but it would be a fun thing to do if you have the courage to listen to what they tell you.
Right.
Because they don't sugarcoat things. They can tell you exactly what you're doing, and there is you may have to take it. Just take it.
Right. Well, being a psychic medium, I don't need a spirit box.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm kind of one of those, I always have been since I've been a little girl, and unfortunately being raised Catholic, I was not too well accepted. So being a spirit box all on my own, I had to learn how to discern that energy and direct that energy. And especially if I went into a big, conference center or an auditorium or, even a restaurant, it got to be pretty annoying. And I have to tell you that a lot of my clients are listening right now, and I have been able to align with their energy on the other side and give them messages and tell them where the paperwork is and what happened to the jewelry and what happened to their life in a lot of cases, and why they took their life, and, a lot of those kinds of things. I consider it probably my best work that I can do that. And I think that a spirit box really is a wonderful validator for people that maybe don't believe in this or don't think that you can just align with that energy on the other side. Because what I'm getting through all of this is that there are no boundaries, there are no limits. And whether you are going through, a tough time right now, there's unbelievable insight, there's unbelievable opportunities that you have in front of you. And all that you really have to do is get still and picture them and envision them. And there's people like Nori, who has her Radiant Center for Well-Being, and Aage, who has his books that give you the insight of how to get another opportunity or another belief system or another vision inside of the head, or you can get a message from the other side from me that is going to validate for you that you are not stuck in the situations that we find ourselves in sometimes, or battling a terminal disease is what they call it, or perhaps in a heartbreak situation for a relationship. I mean, there's a lot of different paths that we can take. Now, I'm kind of interested in Aage's rendition of when we do make decisions and when we do decide, what happens to the other option and the other opportunity? Does it just go and extend, out there in the universe? There are many different belief systems about this and lots of research about this, because when we come to the fork in the road and we take the fork,
Yeah.
we take one or the other. What happens to the other, to the other form of energy, if we could have taken it, like that movie, The Sliding Door, or whatever it was. Have you done any research on that?
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, because we have choices.
Mm-hmm.
But let me spend about 15 seconds on the Tesla Spirit Radio first. For the people that builds this thing, remember, whatever you get through it may not be what they say they are.
Thank you for that.
Out there, and they may be lying to you, so you have to protect yourself. And on the other hand, once you start making contact with somebody, they can get attached to you.
Thank you for that.
Aware that this is not a toy. You got to know how to deal with it, and that's what you need to research on your own. But yeah, what about the future? Maybe we have more than one future that we are in. Even the theoretical physicists now, they're saying they can prove on the blackboard that we have at least 11 dimensions. But what they're also saying that there is very likely a whole bunch of subdivisions within each dimension. And then we have different universe, kind of bubble over here, there is a universe, and bubble over there that has a universe with trillions of things in it. So we are in this one, and we are going from the past through the present on into the future. And if we have been doing, if we're doing today what we have done yesterday, the week before, last month, and last year, don't make any changes. It's very predictable what we are going to be doing in the future. But if we don't like what we had yesterday and previously, we can make a change. We can say, I'm going to quit doing. I'm not going to quit hanging around with those people. I'm going to do something different. Then you peel off and you create another timeline. And that is one of the things that is very helpful to do under hypnosis. And that's what Nori is good at, and I know that because I know enough about hypnosis. But if you have somebody bring you in under a hypnotic state, bring you back to the point where you find out what the problem was, and then remove the attachment to the problem. Now you can think more freely about what do I want in the future, and then you can be led to that new thing that has more success or love or anything that you would want in it. And that's something that Nori is good at, because now when we start a new timeline, everything is new. Whatever you create and put into that future timeline, place it in the future, it is there for you. Once you think something into existence, you have given it a low form of life. And you place that bubble of consciousness into a future, let's say, a time-coded event, like maybe a Christmas party or a birthday party or something a year from now. And then you go back and forth and visit it every day. When you visit that thing, you lay down a tractor strings to it. And you will be drawn up that timeline to that thing that you placed in the future. And when you get to that Christmas party a year from now, you can just walk into it and it is yours. Whatever was in the old timeline that you left, quantum mechanics has two schools of thought of that. And one of them says that the old timeline will collapse. Whatever is in it will collapse and no longer exist. But the other ones say that we are continuing in that timeline on that path that we had. And I am coming to that realization that we probably are continuing on all these timelines that we have created for ourselves. And I think we need to create a timeline that we want to live in. And that is what Nori and I are doing with our mastermind group on Sundays at 11 o'clock when we get together California time. And we create the future. And we live in it from now on into the future. And that's something that should be
so Aage, I just want to go back to Kimla's question, if I may. So if there's a fork in the road and we take one path, Kimla, my understanding of quantum mechanics is that that wave will collapse itself. Now, can we create it again in the future? You know, if we go, oh boy, I wish I took that other one, you know, we withdraw our attention to it and then that wave collapses. But we can rebuild that, you know, by our desires, by asking, and it won't be exactly the same, you know, when it comes around again, but it always comes around again, you know, if we feel like we want to perhaps choose it next time. Yeah.
So where your intention goes, the energy flows into the timeline. So we have to be conscious about why we're doing what we're doing. So it comes down to what's my intention for, I don't know, my future or my happiness or my satisfaction, my fulfillment, or, and is that what you concentrate on the mastermind class?
We tend to focus more benevolently for many people. So, you know, we focused on peace during the elections. We focused on dangerous weather patterns that were happening and did change. You know, we're not the only people out there doing this, so we can't take credit for that. and for, for other things, for people who have received certain medications or whatever, that their bodies will have a good immune system to be okay with it. So we focus a lot more on what is the word?
Balance and healing and alignment and that kind of.
But for many people, for many people, not for ourselves. If maybe once every 6 months we'll do a personal one, where we go ahead and we work on ourselves for health, well-being, abundance. But most of our focus is altruistic. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds fascinating. I think that would be a really good thing. Can anyone join your mastermind class?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All righty. And how do we find that? The link, is there a website or link?
Nori,
For the
can you-
mastermind?
Go ahead. No, I thought you were going to do it. They can send us an email to the THE Mastermind Connection, all one word, at gmail.com.
Perfect.
And we'll send them information. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Listen, thank you for having me. I have to run because I have a show, but thank you for letting me be here. It's so nice to be with you.
Nori, such
So
gratitude.
much-
Thank you so much for coming in
Yeah.
and being part of our show.
Thank you.
We
Nice
really,
meeting
we really appreciate it.
Bye,
And
Duncan.
all right, take care. Bye.
Bye, Aage. Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to go ahead and transition over to the break video, and I'll go ahead and get that started now. All right.
All righty. Thank
Wireless technologies have given us many amazing conveniences and enhancements to our lives, but there is an invisible downside to all this convenience. Electromagnetic fields, or EMF. The silent, invisible, pulsing signals from Wi-Fi, cell phones, the global 5G networks, cordless phones, and other sources of EMF accelerate brainwave states, weaken the immune system, cause sleep problems, brain fog, memory loss, lack of focus, and more. EMF can damage DNA and your pineal gland or third eye, shutting down your intuitive abilities as well. Now you can protect yourself with unique cutting-edge technologies from freshandalive.com. The Rest Shield and Home Shield scalar energy devices. These one-of-a-kind technologies use advanced physics to structure EMF in your home or surrounding area, greatly reducing the damaging effects of EMF and allowing you to sleep deeply in a cocoon of soothing, subtle energy. Learn more at freshandalive.com.
Go back on? Okay.
All right,
Honey, I'm
there
going
we are.
back on. Okay.
We're back on. That was the commercial.
Hi. Thanks so much. We're back. I just wanted to let you see what a Rest Shield really looks like. This is mine, and I have 3. And it protects an area of about 200 square feet. And it has this cool little nightlight. I don't know if you can see it from there, but it's got this cool little nightlight on it. And this is the power button right here. On and off. It's very easy, and it has a little cord to it. That's all it is. But it is an amazing feature. If you have been having any problems with being a targeted individual, or if you are having an attachment at all, like a spiritual attachment, this is one of those things that will really help to protect you, and so that you also, with a lot of affirmations, I may say, you can live your life without any hitchhikers around you. But this also enhances growth for if you have an indoor herb garden, or you have your, great for the kitchen. It takes all the toxins out or protects from that. It also works for like jet lag, or if you do any kind of sports. I play tennis, and I find that, I had a knee injury, and I recovered very quickly for having this machine around. It is fabulous. And you can go to my website, Kimla Lowe, LOWE.com, and go to the sessions and products page, and you can look at all of the fabulous products that we have for you. All right. Anything else to add to that, Duncan?
I think I got something out of that, what you just said. This will also neutralize negative effects off of 5G. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Duncan,
Yeah.
you can go into that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually work at Fresh and Alive, so I've been experiencing the Rest Shield and also the Home Shield too. The Home Shield is the larger device that is that helps with cleaning out electromagnetic pollution and stuff like this, and also helping the weather out, and it improves all life basically. Yeah, the Rest Shield. It is good for EMF protection. So if you sleep next to a cell phone, or if you have your Wi-Fi on, really you shouldn't have any of that on in the first place because that disrupts your sleep. And yeah, it basically the Rest Shield emits this field that's a 20-foot radius, and that field structures EMF whenever it goes into your body. It doesn't cancel out any cell phone service or anything like that, but it structures the disharmonic frequencies coming off of those phones and off of Wi-Fi routers. So yeah, that's what it does. It balances out those frequencies and makes a more harmonious and cleaner environment.
Yeah, it's awesome. I have 3 of them in my home as well, and I'll tell you what a difference. It makes a huge amount of difference. It really does. So I'm going to bring your book out one more time. I don't know if it's backwards or not. Could be.
No, it's right side. It's right side.
Spiritual science, that's what it's called. Higher conscious thinking and how to access the universal consciousness. And that's another thing. There's this universal consciousness. There's soul consciousness. Is that the same thing, Aage?
What did you say the second one was?
The soul consciousness and the universal consciousness, is it the same?
The universal consciousness is what some people call all there is. Some people call it God.
Mm-hmm.
But within that concept, you have individualized spark of lives that I call souls.
Mm-hmm.
So they are in not with duality, but within one concept. There are individualized spark of life that is walking around here on Earth, and well, not really walking around. That's what we in the physical body do, but soul doesn't necessarily live in the body. It just hangs around. It's attached to it, so that it's just kind of mostly on the outside, guiding and seeing what it is observing and seeing through our eyes. We go back to the sight center and is transferred back to the soul essence, so it can record all of everything that it is experiencing. So there is a difference in concept between the soul and the universal consciousness, because the soul is part of that universal consciousness. I don't know if that made it sounded good when I said it. I think
it's awesome. It's just awesome. Duncan, do you have any questions for Aage before we sign off?
Nothing particular off the top of my head. I know we'll probably have you on again, probably sometime soon, sooner than later maybe. I just wanted to mention that we do have the links down in the description below for Aage's books. And also the website is linked down there too for broadcastteamalpha.com. Just letting you guys know that all of that is available down below in the description. Yeah, don't forget to like the video and also subscribe. We can start doing more of these videos and growing and reaching more people as soon as more people subscribe. So that's basically what I have. Man, interesting talk. I love the Tesla Spirit Radio, and that is just amazing stuff.
And also, for those of you out there listening to this that would like to talk to Nori, you can also call her or contact her through broadcastteamalpha.com through the contact section there. and you can reach her, or you can also, that was Center for Radiant Wellbeing.com. You can also go there and get a hold of her if you want to talk to her about hypnosis, because she's doing some incredible things. She doesn't talk about individual, but in concept of what she's doing, she's telling me a few things, and she's really solving some problems out there.
That's amazing
That's
work.
fabulous work. Any kind of healing work is fabulous work. Yeah. And we are in a Scorpio season now, and right around Halloween time, the portal always opens to the other side. The veil gets very thin. So if you do want to contact people on the other side and begin your healing process, please book a session with me at my website. And we're also going into November to kick off the eclipse season. And when the eclipses come, they always bring change. And the change is always positive, and it always brings you closer to your soul's contract and your soul's mission right here on planet Earth. Yep. I know we've been talking about a lot of esoteric subjects tonight, but at the end of the day, we are still here on planet Earth trying to make a difference and trying to overcome any blockages or challenges, or help others in doing the same. And we have all at some point made a commitment to be here, and we're very lucky you are. Thanks so much for coming along with us this hour. And I'd like to say thank you to my guests, Aage Nost and Nori Lowe. Thank you, Aage.
You're welcome. I want to say one more thing about this one. In this book, I teach people how to use their minds in ways that they normally would think be impossible. And if you read it 3 times, because it's written on several levels of consciousness, if you read it 3 times, make sure you get a hold of me, because then we should talk.
That's awesome.
That's exactly
we're going to talk, Kimla.
I know. I kept being drawn back to read it again. And absolutely. And Duncan, thank you so much for getting us on and being a fabulous producer.
And
if you need Duncan's help in producing perhaps a show that you would like to use your voice in a positive manner, how can they get a hold of you, Duncan?
Yeah, you can contact me through email, and that is 27degreedegproducer@gmail.com. That is in the bottom of the description as well. So check it out there, and send me an email if you need any help or want to be on this show. And we can book you and get you on and get some wheels turning.
There you go. Well, thank you so much. We're going to be signing off at 27 degrees SAG from the Galactic Center. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Duncan. Good night. May the angels protect you and guide you. Good night, everyone.